For most people, getting up early on a Saturday and driving for hours would be a no-go. But us mountain bikers are different. It's a chilly but dry morning here at Coed Y Brenin, perfect weather for taking on the beast. The Beast of Brenin is a 38.2 km long black graded trail, and not for the faint-hearted. The trail guide says the beast shouldn't be attempted unless you have a high level of fitness and skill. So we'll be putting both of these to the test today, taking on a few hours of riding, tackling long climbs and fast twisting descents. Because the trail is extremely long, I'm only going to show you some of the very best bits that the beast has to offer. But I'm not taking on the beast alone. Today I've got some company. So now that we're all here, let's get to the start of the trail. Going under the giant suspension fork archway, the trail gets straight down to business. This first bit is a super fun and very rocky introduction to a few of the trails here. This first section has been made intentionally tricky. If you're heading this way, you're most likely planning on riding one of the tougher trails like the Beast or MBR. So this start is designed as a test. The idea is that if you struggle with this section, then you're not likely to manage the harder sections to come. It's a good way to deter less capable riders from riding these harder trails. This ensures people are not riding too far above their limit and going off and hurting themselves.
Yeah, no messing about. Nothing like a good warm-up, is there?
This bumpy start is also an opportunity to give your bike the good old shake test to make sure it's up to scratch. I imagine it would also come in handy to remind you to make sure you have your suspension on the right settings too. This is a really great introduction to the beast. It definitely got us psyched up, ready to get some serious riding under our belts. Which is a good thing, because after the bumpy intro, we prepared to start the first of many climbs. CAIN can be a tricky section. Because you're going slow, these rocks have a habit of creeping up on you in the wrong way. On a dry day like today, this section was a lot of fun, but in the wet, CAIN turns into an ice rink of doom. So make sure you don't use all your energy on the climb, save a little bit for this section.
Yeah! Awesome.
Now it's time to go downhill. Adam and Eve is the first bit of flow trail you come to. It starts with these huge sweeping berms. They're great for picking up a bit of speed, ready to hit these funky tabletop jumps. This is a pretty forgiving section and there's nothing too technical. The weirdest feature on the line are these off-camber side-to-side rollers that you come to. They feel a bit odd to ride, but they're a great feature to spice things up. This is probably one of the easiest sections on the beast, but this short yet fun section is good to get your legs out of climbing mode and ready for going downhill again. And there are plenty more downhill sections to come. Continuing with the flowing theme, the next section is Serpent's Tail.
Yeah.
It's a really fast and loose section in the woodlands that's a huge amount of fun.
Log jump.
The whole of the Beast Trail has amazing sections like these that flow really well. I was enjoying this section so much that I even forgot the others were following me.
Oh, they're behind me. Serpent's Tail, so this is the first bit of lovely flow trail. And it really is, a few rocks back and forwards. Brilliant.
Kudos to whoever named this trail. I can see why they called this section the Serpent's Tail.
Look at that.
Before long, the lovely flow trail has to take a backseat because you reach ABEL, a section well known for its technical features and one of the reasons the beast gets its black grade.
Yeah. Oh, rocky drops.
I absolutely love this section and I think it's easy to see why.
Oh yeah.
You pick up speed fast, the ground is loose, there are rocks everywhere and the drops are great fun.
How superb that bit.
All the features here are rollable, but you'll be glad you brought your full suspension bike with you. I'm riding my Cube today and it definitely made for a comfier ride than the hardtail would have. Reaching the bottom, it's also great to see that everyone made it down without a scratch.
Oh yes.
After a short climb, you reach the more single track.
Come on, full speed, let's go.
By the time you get here, you're well in the swing of riding, but don't let your confidence get the better of you. This section has a few tricks up its sleeve. It's easy to pick up speed on this section and things start to really flow well. There are a couple of features that can catch you out, so my advice is to look before you leap.
Look at this lovely rocky roller coaster. I didn't quite know what that drop was.
The next few stages are longer woodland sections. They have their ups and downs, but you still need to keep your eye on the trail.
Not a bad little section that, I think.
At just under the halfway mark, you reach a big climb. It's long, steep in places, and a pretty uneventful fire road. When you get to the top, you have some pretty good views on a clear day. But there's nothing worse than climbing all that way up to find you have to ride the fire road back down, losing a lot of the height you just gained. Although it is a pretty fun ride down. And before long, we reach the Adams family stages. These are some of my favourite sections to ride in the whole of Coed Y Brenin. The first single track is called Gomez. This is a relatively easy but rocky section through the woods.
Oh, it's good to be flowing again.
After spending the last hour climbing on a fire road, a section like this is good to get your body loosened up and moving again. At this point, we've been riding for just over 3 hours, and we're around 2/3 of the way around. This is why you need to be a fit and competent rider to complete the beast. When you get tired on the ride, that's when you start to make mistakes. So, as well as a good level of fitness, you want to make sure your bike and kit are in pretty good order too. If you have any serious mechanicals out here, you have a pretty long walk back to the trail centre, so make sure you bring plenty of spares.
Morticia.
The section Morticia is a bit faster than Gomez. There are less technical features, but it makes up for it by being a great chance to get a bit of speed behind you. My Cube stereo has large 29-inch wheels, so it feels really fast on sections like this.
Yeah!
Between that and the suspension, it smooths out some of the bumps without losing its trail sensitivity. It makes for a fast and comfortable ride on terrain like this. If If you're into Strava, there are some impressive times for these sections. We're certainly not trying to compete with this today, but if you do fancy checking out the exact route of the beast, visit the Bike and Beyond Strava page, which will have all the details. There's a link down in the video description. Making your way down Gomez, Morticia and Pugsley, you start to get towards the really good stuff. This trail section is Pugsley's bottom, where I think things start to get really interesting. This section is made more technical by the rocks on the ground, which are pretty slippery when wet.
A little bit slippy.
And the fact that the trail goes through about 3 small rivers also didn't help. But surviving this, we reached my favourite bit of the Adams family trails, Lurch. On a GoPro, this section probably looks as flat as a pancake, but trust me when I say this is a steep and twisty rocky section.
The back brake is working, I just don't know if it'll stop me.
In the wet, again, I can imagine this section turning into a slip and slide, so it's definitely worth making sure your brakes are in working order. Once you're down the tight rocky section, Lurch turns into a fast trail that weaves its way in and out of the trees and rocks. It's a short section, but I think it has a good mix of technical and flowing riding. Although Lurch is one of my favourites, for most people, the pinnacle of the Adams family descent has got to be Uncle Fester. This stage doesn't disappoint.
Oh, foot on the pedal, come on, there we go.
It's a bit of a roller coaster section. It starts off being nice and flowy as it heads out of the trees. It then seems to wind casually around the tree stumps and the bushes. There are a few rocks kicking about on the trail at this point, so it's still worth keeping your eyes open. When the trail heads back into the woods again, it turns into a different beast. Your speed increases and you find yourself flying through the trees. It's almost as if Uncle Fester knows that no one is watching and gets you to put your foot down. From the top of Gomez, you start at around 1,066 feet of elevation. By the end of Uncle Fester, you're at around 255 feet. That's an action-packed 811 feet of Adams family fun. It's easy to see why these trails are so popular. Not long after reaching the bottom of Uncle Fester, the beach joins the sections from the MBR trail. We've ridden these ones before, and with an idea of what's coming next, we could really let loose for these last few awesome sections.
Yeah, thunder! The beast is truly an awesome trail.
As well as all the amazing descents that I've shared with you today, there's also a hell of a lot of uphill climbing, so make sure you're prepared for that. According to Strava, our actual moving time was 3.5 hours, but factoring in stops and snacks, the beast took us around 4.5 hours in total. This may not seem that long, but the trail guide says depending on your fitness, you should allow up to 6 hours. So, if you're comfortable on black and red trails and are fit enough, I recommend you take a crack at the beast. Thanks for watching the video, subscribe to see more content like this, and don't forget to hit the like button. I'll see you next time.